Where are you gonna go? Right here?
Hello, Winnie.
Is this nice?
How's your body image?
It's hot outside. It's fucking hot outside. I'm good. Welcome back to another episode of My Body, My Jokes. This is comedian Morgan Gallo. I'm coming to you from Dude IDK Studios, my favorite studio in the heart of Denver, Colorado. And today I'm joined by someone that I would consider a friend of mine, a really amazing female comic in Denver, Hannah Jones.
Hello.
Hello. I'm really excited to have you on this podcast.
Yes, me too.
I literally, when Anissa and I were talking before I started recording, you were one of the first people that I was like, oh yeah, we got to have Hannah on there.
Oh my gosh. Wow. Thank you so
Yes.
much.
Yes. So do me a favor, do the audience a favor, give us a little synopsis of who you are, what you do.
I am Hannah Jones. I'm a stand-up comedian, and I make jokes. Many of them are on the internet. I'm a Capricorn.
Ooh, no, that's good to know. Is Capricorn a earth sign?
Yeah. We're the organized stick up our ass.
That makes sense. Not the stick up your ass part, but the organized part definitely makes sense.
No, I feel like there's a stick up my ass and it really comes across. I'm not insecure about that anymore.
Okay, that's good. Earth signs are also really grounded. I feel like you're a grounded person. Like, you know who you are.
The vast majority of my close friends in my life have all been earth signs too.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, my close group of friends, well, one of my close groups of friends, it's 2 Capricorns and 2 Virgos. Crazy.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then every time I meet people and I click particularly well with them, 80% of the time they end up being an earth sign.
Interesting. Okay. I love do you have a group chat with the Capricorns and the Virgos? And it's so organized. You're like, we're meeting at Friday at 6. We're doing this.
Well, no, because 2 of them are Virgos, which everybody thinks Virgos are organized. Not in my opinion.
Oh, really?
Not in our group chat. The Virgos are on.
They're off the wall
on Vyvanse. So.
Oh, that's good. That's why they're grounded. Honestly.
No, literally today I sent a text message that was I had sent 2 texts in a row that went unanswered, which is pretty par for the course with these people, and I was just like, hey, you have to answer now, and they were like, oh my god, I'm so sorry.
Oh, that's fun. Vyvanse is a hell of a drug. That is. I was on it for 2 weeks, and I couldn't feel my toes. It was insane. I think
what it really makes me realize is, especially the one time that I did Adderall recreationally, I was like, oh, ADHD is a hell of a fucking disease, dude. Insane to me that you could have a brain that's so broken that this makes you feel normal. Because me personally, I feel like I'm on meth.
Oh, really? When you took Adderall?
Yeah.
I've never tried it, but I'm afraid that if I try it, it will just make me so calm that I'll be like, oh shit, I need this.
Oh, do you have ADHD?
Yeah,
I didn't realize
but
that.
I take Wellbutrin, which is it's not a stimulant, but it's a anti-anxiety med. So
it is one of the upper ones. I know that because my friend was talking about how she forgot to take her Wellbutrin one of the days that I was visiting her, and she was kind of tired because of it.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, either way, we'll have more conversation on big pharma later in the podcast. That's one of the things we like to cover here.
Yay.
But something I ask every person that comes on this podcast is, what is your relationship with your body?
It's fine.
And that's it.
It's fine now. It feels like one of those podcasts where it's 2 girls who had a crazy falling out, but they're friends again. And so it's sure, we're friends, but it's a loaded.
Yeah.
And shit could go wrong at any minute, but I think there is an undercurrent of acceptance that we'll work it out if it does. It's not actively adversarial at this point.
Okay, that's good. You're I'll like your Instagram photo, but I'm not going to reach out to you. Okay, I like that. No, I like that. That's so interesting because I know that in some of your stand-up, you've kind of talked about having issues with your body. Or recently I found, this is crazy, last night I looked up on Instagram the words Denver body positive, and a reel of yours came up that was a collaboration reel with like I think you might have done like a special or something, that it was like you and it was a professionally filmed set, and you were doing a joke about how like you were called obese by a Wii Fit. And it was it was from like 3 weeks ago or something.
Yeah, I can't believe they tagged that Denver body positive.
Well, I don't think they did. They tagged it as body positive, and then I think there was like
and there's maybe a separate Denver tag. For
yeah,
sure.
Either that.
That's funny to me. Yeah. So that was a set that I did a little while ago, and they they kind of like clipped it up. It's always interesting watching your jokes get clipped up by other people.
Yeah.
Because you're like, oh, huh.
You thought that was the punchline? You thought that was the end of the joke? That's interesting.
Well, and I have some beef with like body positive as a phrase, which is not novel anymore. I feel like everybody on the internet has come to like the grand conclusion that movement was like not helpful at all. I think the best joke about it possible is like Maddie Weiner has a joke about, I'm gonna absolutely botch the fuck out of it, about how like the body positivity movement was, I guess, like so great for you if you have like a perfect hourglass figure and the skinniest face of all time. But like me personally, I don't feel like we've progressed as a society until, and she uses the term, she's like, until I see someone who's poor fat.
Oh,
like,
yeah, that's like a very specific body type
you see in a Walmart, you know?
Yeah.
But I also think there's something to be said for like, I think the most recent realization that I had about my body is that like, with body dysmorphia, you're kind of like rocketing back and forth all the time between these two crazy delusional visions of self, which are that like everything in my life has thus far been a misunderstanding. I'm actually the most beautiful person to exist. And then the other one being I'm actually too ugly to be allowed to leave the house.
Yeah, I shouldn't exist. I shouldn't be here.
Yeah, and I think body positivity says lean into the first delusion. It's better. Like
interesting.
It's so much more fun to think about yourself, and that absolutely makes no sense. I think I think it also just kind of like reinforces the idea that like you will not be okay or safe in society if you are not beautiful, which is a lie we get fed as women very early on. Whereas I think, what if we kind of like let go of both delusions and we recognize that like, yes, I have a certain amount of privilege living in a body that is like normal looking for the most part. And like, even the people who are like very obviously, explicitly, and discreetly not beautiful are still deserving of the same dignities.
Right, absolutely.
That like, it's not like, oh, of course you can be loved because you're beautiful. What if it's like, oh, of course you're deserving of pursuing love in your life because like you're a human.
You're a human, yeah. No one asked to be here. Yeah. We're all here by chance.
And I think that like now when I like view, because especially with comedy and you're constantly getting like photos and videos of yourself back and you're like, ugh, great, I look horrible here. And it's like, what if the goal is just to look like pretty fucking normal?
Yeah.
I think the goal for me at this point is that like just no one thinks about the way that I look ever.
Yeah, it's so interesting that you say that because, you know, obviously this podcast has a lot to do with like body image, body positivity, and or like body neutrality, like kind of like diving into the nuances of what that means. And I just did a quick Google of like what is the real definition of like the body positive movement, and what the AI overview or whatever this is from Google, it says that the movement is a social movement that promotes self-acceptance and appreciation for all body types, regardless of their shape, size, race, gender, sexuality, disability. And I think it's interesting your perspective, because I haven't thought of it in that way of like, why do we have to like think everyone is like beautiful? Why does everything have to be beautiful? Why can't we just be like deserving just because we're human, just because we're here? It doesn't have to, you don't have to find beauty in every single little thing.
Especially with like something that I struggle with in comedy specifically is like, there's such an obvious, like, we're really fed a lot of hard truths as young women that are true, but we're not really given the tools to navigate them. So for example, here's a hard truth, which is that like, by and large, if you do not fit the beauty standard, women find you invisible and men find you annoying. Like, that's a very tough truth to swallow on the macro level. And I think that for so long that created this war in my mind that, like, for people to even like listen to what I have to say and not immediately bristle and find me like so fucking annoying and acerbic, I have to like do my best to signal that I'm like trying to live within whatever standard they've set. And I think the fact of the matter is that we, like, I'm not a statistician and I'm not being viewed by millions of people at a time. I'm being viewed by 20 people at a time. And so in fact, I'm not living my life on the macro level.
Yeah.
And on the micro level, what we find is that like human attraction and feelings towards different aesthetics are like remarkably variable.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God, yeah.
So being 12 years old and trying to like adjust to that hard truth that really has no relevance or bearing on my life, but living so many of my years kind of like ruled by that is so bad.
Oh my God, yeah. And it creates like this complex in your head that is really hard to like grow out of or to recover from. Like for me personally, I have had an eating disorder since I was 13 and I'm now 28. So the past 15 years of my life has been me truly thinking that I am wrong and that my eating disorder was actually a good thing and that it was telling me to fit into what was like, it was telling me that if I submitted to it and if I followed the rules and didn't eat and overexercise or whatever, that I would be beautiful and I would be successful and I don't know, have this amazing life. It's insane.
Yeah. And then there were some added complexities, which is that like, because I, over the course of being in comedy, existed at several different sizes and also several different like looks.
Yeah.
And the fact is that like when I was skinniest with my longest hair, there was a distinct difference in how I was treated. And everybody thinks that when I'm referencing this difference, I'm referencing like being hit on. It's not that at all. It's a very distinct platonic difference. Like men are just like more interested in socially accepting you and being your friend.
Which is almost kind of worse.
Oh, so much worse.
Because it's like, so now I'm like okay to even be around.
Because if it was about a romantic thing, if I was like, I'm just trying to be skinny enough to like acquire romantic love, you don't have to be very skinny for that. It's actually quite easy to pursue and acquire romantic love at a variety of different sizes because there's a variety of different human tastes out there.
Yes.
But for example, like a core body memory for me is that my dad at a very young age, when he thought I wasn't listening, was talking to my mom about how I was like too fat and I was about to go to high school. And he was like, this is going to hold her back so much socially. And the thing is that like he was speaking out of love and like in the truth of his own experiences as a child, getting like, I mean, he was a child in the fucking 70s. He was brutally made fun of for his weight. They literally called him Fat Matt. And
oh my God.
And losing weight created a profound difference in how he was treated in the workplace and how he was treated by friendships.
That's so awful.
Totally. But the problem is that when you hand that to another generation to like, hey, live your life thinking social acceptance as a whole makes that issue so much more significant than if it was just about human attraction. Yeah
God, you're so eloquent with words. Sometimes when you talk I'm like, you should just do the rest of the episode. No, it's interesting because I want to touch on the comedy piece because you've been doing comedy for 5 years? 6 years. 7? Yeah, okay, 6. Cool. Okay, cool. And I feel like this is a similar experience. Although let me know what you think, like where when you kind of start, how you look and how you present yourself on stage is almost more important than how like a male comic looks and represents himself on stage. Like for example, on the second episode of the pod when I had Jocelyn Sharp on. We were talking about how when I first started comedy, I was actually told by male comics like, hey, don't dress up too much. Don't show too much cleavage. Women are going to be threatened by you. Men are going to be turned on by you. You should just make it about the comedy. Have you had that experience? Have people tried to tell you what to look like on stage?
Yes and no. I mean, I used to like wear a lot of skirts and dresses, and men would always like make weird comments about how I shouldn't be wearing skirts and dresses. But I also think that something pretty fortunate, when I look back to my first 3 years in comedy, I think literally the best part of it is that I never thought comedy was particularly cool.
Yeah.
I never thought it was a cool thing to do, and I didn't think that people who were mildly successful at comedy were very cool people. I didn't look up to a lot of the local headliners. I didn't have the same reverence that a lot of other people in town did. That was like a weird point of friction because I wasn't like respecting my elders on a certain level.
Okay.
But on another level, on the flip side, a lot of those guys fucking suck. A lot of those guys fucking suck, and they would be like, you shouldn't wear skirts on stage, and I would be like, well, you're literally fucking poor. So why the fuck would I take advice from a broke man?
What a flex, man.
Oh, you have Boise dates coming up? You're literally fucking broke.
Yeah.
So no, I'm gonna keep wearing my skirts because I look fucking cute. And I had a lot of fucking anger, and I just... The amount of unsolicited advice I got that I would just like, and a lot of times it was me being legitimately unfriendly and like rude for no reason, but I just did not put up with unsolicited advice.
Good for you. Good for you. That's really hard, I feel like, for a lot of young comics, especially depending on like what age you start out at. Like, it's so difficult with this weird power dynamic of there's like veterans in the scene, there's people who book shows, there's people who have this like almost power over you when they tell you something, for you to be like, actually I'm not gonna follow that. That's so cool. Because when I was getting advice like to that point about them being poor, it was always dudes who it was like they were 10 years in and they were still hosting like some gig at Margaritaville. And I'm like, okay, when I'm 10 years in, I really hope I'm not where you're at. So I'm not going to listen to that. You know what I mean?
No, literally. And if I am where you're at, I hope at least I'm having enough fun that I get to wear a fucking skirt on stage.
Yeah.
Like, imagine being broke and having to put fucking slacks on before a set. No, I do vividly remember it was at a B club, which I love this club, but it was very much a B club. And this man, it was like the hottest fucking day of the year, and we were in the green room, the air conditioner didn't super work. We were all talking about how hot it was, and he was like, well, because I, love the grind and I truly love comedy, I'm going to go change into my jeans. And I was like, that's crazy. Couldn't be me. And he's like, yeah, sorry, I just got to follow the old school rules.
Because you can't wear shorts on stage.
I couldn't wear a fucking skirt on stage. And it's like, yeah, you couldn't wear a fucking skirt on stage because you're homophobic. But
I just don't understand the like need to tell, especially when it's like a man telling a woman in comedy, like the need to tell them like what to do or how to represent themselves. Because like some of the most successful comedians like wear whatever they want and it does not affect what they do. You know what I mean? I mean, how many men have told you to do something and they show up to every show with a black t-shirt and jeans and the same dirty Vans from when they were like 12? Yeah. Anyway, okay. So, I don't know. I just think those conversations are so interesting because it's like, it's so specific to comedy. You know what I mean? It's such a specific thing in that scene. Oh, wait.
Before we get off this topic, though, something interesting that happened was, so I never took anyone's advice. And there were certain challenges, like I lost a bunch of weight and was like still doing jokes about like being chubby. And it like didn't necessarily make sense anymore. Yeah. And I like buzzed my fucking hair and realized that when you are a woman with a buzz cut, you look too abrasive already. You have to like go way fucking far out of your way for an audience to be comfortable with you. I became very organically aware of my appearance and what the audience, what assumptions they would make out of me. And then last year, I started dressing down in a big way. I saw a couple of female comedians whose vibe I just loved, constantly wearing like sweatsuits on stage.
Oh, cool.
Like big ass t-shirts, big ass sweatshirts,
Yeah,
big ass sweatpants, and cool sneakers. And I was like, I do love that vibe. There's something so particularly powerful about like, unfortunately, engaging with femininity at all, because of all of the baggage of femininity, does visually communicate to an audience. And a lot of this is like in my brain. So I'm not saying these are truths about the world, but what I felt like was that it was visually communicating to the audience that I'm like, I'm here for your judgment. Do you think I'm pretty? And I started dressing in kind of the opposite way and started doing a lot better. Unfortunately, started having amazing sets. Started feeling like I got a lot more leeway with the audience, where like I could do my A jokes and then I could do like a joke I'd literally never said before, and the audience would just kind of hang with me because I felt like the audience just found me genuinely likable. And I did not, for the vast majority of doing comedy, feel like the audience ever perceived me as broadly likable. And now, unfortunately, I've like built that up in my head a lot where like if I wear, like sometimes I'll like have a date after and I'll wear like a cute, more feminine outfit and I'll like have a bad set and I'll be like, I knew it. It was because of the fucking outfit.
Oh no, that's a dangerous precedent to set for yourself. But I do understand it because I have been there also, where wearing a jeans and a t-shirt, like I'm a little more comfortable, obviously, but also like I feel like I'm a little bit more accepted because there's not this pressure of like, oh, she's like a tomboy. Like this is going to be fun. She's like whereas when you're on stage and you have a skirt or you have like tights or whatever, and you're feeling maybe a little more confined, like it is a bit of a bias that we don't recognize or that audience members don't recognize.
Yeah.
So that's very...
I think a lot of times it's like the audience, if you're dressing if you're dressed down a lot, I think the audience is like, oh, well, like the first thing they think about you is she clearly doesn't give a fuck about what we think, you know?
Oh yeah, that's
and
a
I
good
think
point.
that weirdly enough in comedy, that's a really helpful first impression.
Yeah,
for people
unfortunately, yeah, it is. It is. 'Cause it would be the same thing as like when a guy goes on stage and he's wearing a suit, you're kind of like, oh, this is like, what's going on? Like, I feel like when I see that, I'm like, oh, this they take themselves too seriously. You're not filming you're not John Mulaney filming a special.
Yeah.
Oh God. Well, we solved that problem. Anyway, so something that I like to do is, you and I have talked about this a lot, and I've mentioned this on this podcast before, that I have a very wild online experience because my following, new update, it's down to 90% men. It's no longer 92. We're pushing it down. And because of that following, I get a lot of weird DMs, a lot of weird comments. But you, on the other hand, have a completely flipped audience where I don't know if you know your percentage or if you've looked at the insights, but you have way more women.
I think it's like 60% women.
Yeah, and that's amazing. And so you have like a way different experience online than I do. So before we get into this like little segment we're going to do, I just want to ask you, do you feel like because women follow you, you have a more positive experience, or have you ever like compared your account and what you get to others?
Well, I know that the last time that I was a guest on a podcast that you run, it was one of the worst comment sections of my life.
Oh my God. When you said that, my heart, I was like, I had another podcast. Yeah, that was like a year and a half ago.
When
Holy
you first
shit.
came to Denver.
Yes.
That was really early on.
Who did you do it with again? Alec, you and, RIP, man. Wow. Yeah, that was really bad. Comment section wise, right?
Yeah,
that's what it was.
and then the only other time that it's been really bad is getting posted on Reddit.
Ooh,
I only have a few jokes that are like not kind of niche, that have been reposted on Reddit and like gone pretty viral. Yeah. And Yeah, the comments can be, although I will say the majority of them are still just like about the joke, but then there will be like some oddball one that's, I don't get a lot of comments sexualizing me.
That's
at
great.
all. Yeah, I mean, like, from the perspective of being over sexualized, 100%. From the perspective of being an ugly kid, it's like, aw.
I get that.
And that's the problem, is that like you and me are so informed by experiencing exact opposite sides of the same coin, which is like misogyny.
Yep.
But like your side of the coin is like, oh, because you're like sexualized so much to the point of like being unsafe and like not human.
Yeah.
And mine is like, because I don't fit the beauty standard, I am unsafe and not seen as human. So it's weird because we land in the same spot of
right.
like,
it's just completely
feelings.
the other side.
Yeah,
There's just a brick wall between us. It's like that episode of SpongeBob. By the way, I've heard you say this a few times, even just in conversation while we're at like the comedy club or whatever. You are beautiful. Like, I don't need to tell you that, and I don't need to do this whole like, oh my God, girl queen, slay queen. Like, but you are genuinely like so beautiful, and your personality just adds on to that. So I understand the feeling, because I grew up as a chubby girl. Everyone told me I was fat. Boys didn't like me. Like, I was invisible growing up for a very long time. So I understand that like complex.
There's also something really interesting, which I always want to explain to men who will say that I'm ugly on the internet. And it's like, in an actual room full of 100 people, I am like a young, able-bodied blonde girl.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
I get doors held open for me. Like,
absolutely.
This is not, it is only on an app where an algorithm is based in large part of how attractive people are. It is only on that app that I am seen as significantly failing the beauty standard in any way. But okay, going back to your question, which is the weirdest thing is that even though my following is 60% women, I would say that like 90% of the comments and DMs I get are from men.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I just think there's this general trend on the internet, which is that like women are there to make the content and occasionally wordlessly watch it, and men are there to like engage with the content. Like,
wow, now that you put it that way, it makes so much sense.
Like, women by and large aren't like sliding up on stories or DMing or like I feel like I just go, and even if I like a video, I don't usually comment on it unless it's like my friends and I'm trying to boost the algorithm. If women message me, it's usually a question about like buying tickets or buying merch or just like or it'll be like a really sweet message.
Right.
But those are not that common. The majority of the just like noise I get in my DMs are men, and specifically men who will never buy tickets.
Yeah. I have that experience because pretty much all of my followers are men, but even looking on, when I was on TikTok, looking at other people's comment sections, like whether it was a man, a woman, a non-binary, whoever posted, it seemed like the comments, whether they were good or bad, were typically from men. I don't know why that is.
Because men are just used to fucking commenting. I think men are
they're used to being heard.
I think they're extremely lonely. I don't think they're receiving a lot of texts and DMs by and large. I think a lot of men are just like looking for some sort of dopamine hit on the internet for hours every day, and they can get that from just like spewing fucking comments. Whereas for women, it's like, why would I ever want to be in a comment section when I could like send this video to a friend and like we could talk about
me
it.
too. That's
like,
exactly
why would I want to talk to strangers about it? But I think like a lot of men just don't think that same way.
And
they want to have conversations. But it is interesting, like the ticket, because I know this is something we've talked about, which is that like I think you have plenty of fans of your comedy, but unfortunately what you find over time is that fans are silent. Every time someone says, I was at your show tonight, it was so good, thank you for like coming to our city or whatever, it'll be the first DM they ever sent me.
No, that's exactly my experience. And then the people who are like fans of me, not because maybe they like my comedy, but more because they like want to take me on a date or they want to fuck me, they aren't going to come to a show. They're not going to buy a ticket. Or if they do, which is very rare, it will turn into a very creepy situation where I have to unfortunately go to the comedy club manager and be like, hey, I feel unsafe. Can you just make sure this guy doesn't come near me? Which has happened only twice in 4 years, which is great. But I wanna do this little comparison game because we have such different experiences, to the point where I cannot read my comment section anymore. I haven't read it in like a few months. And I made that decision just because I was having so much trouble like getting back into a healthy mental state every time I sifted through them, that I was like, even if people are commenting saying, when are you coming to this city, or they're engaging positively, like I can't sift through the shit to get to that. It's too much. So I want to read like a comment of yours, and then we'll read a comment of mine, and we're just going to go comment for comment. And my producer, Anissa, who is amazing and has been working on this podcast with me. Hello, Anissa.
Hi.
Sitting over on that couch. That couch is so comfortable. I'm jealous.
About to fall asleep.
She has compiled. I have asked her to sacrifice her own mental health to go through my comment section, and she's compiled a few of the craziest ones. Are most of them on like one platform? Have you found?
Yeah, I'm looking more at your Instagram, just because your Instagram has a lot more traction.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, pretty insane stuff are happening.
Oh my gosh.
Should I start?
Let's do this. I'm gonna go ahead and we'll just do one for Hannah. We'll just maybe do like 3 of them. Does that sound good?
Yeah,
so we don't have to go
good.
crazy. Okay, Hannah, what's in your comment section?
Okay. I'm in trouble for making a joke on the internet about me being bi, and other people are calling it biphobic. So my most recent comedy is, I don't understand how biphobia is funny. Am I missing the joke part? Username is literally Connor the Confused. So yeah, you are. You're
Call
missing
him
the joke
out.
part.
Call him
When
out.
I miss a joke, I just scroll past. I would never go to a comment section to be like, can someone explain the joke to me?
Oh my God. Yeah, that's so obnoxious. Okay, Anissa, hit us with one of my comments.
Okay, so this one's about that video you said where you're about girls pooping.
Oh, perfect.
And
that one got a lot of comments.
It did. This guy, 3 times back to back, he said, first, love your sweater melons. Call back to the first episode.
Yeah, that was the first
Those are
episode.
boobs.
Yeah.
Love your sweater melons. Nothing wet wipes can't fix, darling. And nothing wet wipes cannot improve, darling. I was like, oh.
What's with the darling? What's with the...
Yeah, it's the double wet wipes can't fix, darling, and then wet wipes cannot improve, darling.
Yeah, this guy has a stutter. Oh my God.
Very interesting. And it was just...
I love that he did multiple drafts.
Yeah, like
he was sitting there. He was like, "No, this one will get her."
Like he hit enter 3 times.
He hit enter 3 times, and it's not like your video had anything to do with sweater melons. You know what I mean?
No, and it's always I asked on my Instagram for the first episode, what's your favorite nickname for boobs, and got, I'm sure you can imagine, ridiculous replies, and like. The category of like clothing and fruit, or some type of like, it was like sweater puppies, sweater kittens. Like, I don't know why so many men have these like ideas that saying that to a woman is flattering, but that's what I get. Read me another one of yours.
I made a joke about how I wish someone would want me as much as straight men want to go to Japan. And
I saw that video. That was so good.
Thank you so much. A woman said, I also want to go to Japan and will be doing so with my man. Sounds like you're just jealous.
Ooh, okay. Jesus.
It's what I have found about me is that people are bringing deep emotional projections to very simple sentences. That was a 1-sentence video. I want to say it was like 4 seconds. And people are bringing, literally men are like, oh, so now we can't love Japan?
Now we can't have anything.
It was literally about wanting a man to want me. Like, that is the most pro man that a straight woman can get. Like, what are you
if anything, you're putting
about?
yourself on blast by being like, I want this for myself.
Self-deprecating.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, so I guess we should kill ourselves because we can't like Japan anymore.
Honestly, I mean, they're not wrong.
And maybe you should.
Yeah, maybe you should. Okay, Anissa, hit me with another one.
Okay, this was one of your comedy clips, but this guy goes, rights, explain. What rights do men have that women don't? The right to be drafted to the front line and die? The right to what? You women say this all the time. I mean, seriously.
Thank you so much for putting an act out behind it. I'm so invested in your acting skills.
Thanks.
Wait, that was under a comedy clip?
Yeah, it was under a comedy clip. You were talking about like how women, I think it was like women in comedy specifically might have like a little harder time getting there, I guess.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, that's hilarious. I love when
Yeah.
men do this thing where they're like, what do we have that you don't have? And I'm like, the fact that you can go for a jog at night.
Yeah.
The fact
literally.
that you can like not have to have someone walk you to your car after a night out. Like the fact, like there's so many things. And I want to say this on this podcast because I shouldn't have to say this, but I'm going to because I don't know who's going to end up listening to this. But I personally, Morgan Gallo, I am not anti-man. I love men. I'm dating a man. I have a cool dad. I have cool male friends. I never at any point want anyone to feel like I am saying all men. However, there's enough of you that it's easier to just generalize rather than pick out the ones that are doing bad things.
No,
So
see, I'm so sick of coddling. I'm so sick of coddling them. Toughen up. Toughen up.
Toughen
You did
up.
it for years. You can't take two. Okay, here's the thing. 30 years of jokes about how I hate my wife and we're just trucking along.
Yeah.
You know, no
Or
big
drunk
deal,
girls.
whatever. Girls gone wild, literal harassment every day, no big deal.
Mm-hmm.
You guys have 2 years of a moderately cringe internet trend of quote unquote hating men, and you're like, this is why we kill ourselves.
Yeah.
That is the most
when they pull out the
oversensitive
stat.
shit I've ever fucking heard.
Yeah.
Literally just toughen up a little bit. If you want to be on the internet, which is all ages, then
Yeah.
get on the internet and be a little fucking tough.
it's and because we have to be.
The right to get drafted and go to war. Soldiers don't want you. Sorry. The U.S. Army does not want
Also,
a
when
little
was
bitch who's going to kill himself over an internet joke. I promise you.
When was the last time we had a draft? Fucking 60 years ago? I don't even know. Like that.
They're
It's not
so
even
scared.
a fucking.
They're
Oh my
so
God.
scared. Please don't send me to war. Please don't send me to war.
Yeah, but I
was
want him to
talking
go.
about-
Yeah.
I actually had a conversation with a man on Twitter today. Are you okay with going slightly off topic? Okay.
Of course.
I had a conversation with a man on Twitter, and basically,
Which is very brave of you to do on that platform.
someone had said like, there was a tweet that was like, if you want to meet women, just like go to places where women are at. And this guy was like, literally there are no places that aren't 60% men. And then he like listed a couple that was like trivia and like partner dance events. And so then I quote tweeted and was like, men can't fucking imagine doing a thing that women like that they don't kind of like that much, and just like kind of pretending or choosing to have a good time just because they know women like it.
Yeah.
And this is something that has really gotten to me over the years, and especially like in my last relationship. I've been to 2 fish shows. And
Oh, wow.
at both fish shows, I had a smile on my face the whole time, and I was dancing, and I was genuinely enjoying the music.
Were you
because I
on
think-
drugs?
No, I think I
wow.
was stone cold sober both times. I
for
just
you.
think that like a big part of life is that like if someone you love loves something, you just kind of like choose to enjoy it.
Yeah.
But the thing is that like that would never be done for me.
Mm-hmm,
You know, like I've dated men who like won't go to fucking chick movies, and they won't do this shit, and they won't go to chick concerts, and like when they do, it's literally seen as this like heroic effort.
Yeah, they're like, well, I watched a romantic comedy for 2
Yeah.
hours, so I mean, you should give me head.
And I was like, it's just crazy because if you literally went to a place like a knitting circle, which is something
Yeah.
that you're just genuinely not interested in, but if you chose to get into crochet because that's a woman thing, then like you will find those spaces.
Yeah.
You just can't even imagine. You're thinking of all the stuff that I like, and all the stuff that
Yeah.
you like is boy stuff, and it's mostly boys. Anyway, a man responded to that, and he was like, we can't go to those places because women will think we're creeps. And I was like, name a real fucking time. Don't name a fucking TV show or a TikTok or a Reddit post, name like a real fucking time that has happened. And he's like, well, if you go to like women only, like events that are dominated by women, like sometimes you'll get like uncomfortable stares. And I was like, if an uncomfortable stare is dictating your ability to go out and live your life, you're not tough enough for this world. I kind of think that's a big part of being human, is that you get stared at uncomfortably sometimes. I know for a fact it's a big part of being a woman.
Oh, absolutely.
So the idea that like a stare makes you crumble, you can't leave the house, you can't go meet women in person because you might get stared at. Toughen the fuck up.
Yeah. I'm so happy that you're on this podcast.
These can't be the same men with the higher pain tolerance. Like, what the fuck?
These can't be the same men that are getting the dollar on our 60 cents. I mean,
these can't be the same men that get into bar fights or whatever. Like, this is just insane.
Oh, they're not.
You can withstand a stare. I just think, that men are consistently using this straw man argument, which is that one girl will be like, I was annoyed by a guy who was at my crochet and was like persistently hitting on me. And then 50 men will see that one fucking Reddit post and they'll be like, I guess we just can't go to hobby groups anymore.
Yep.
Because you guys hate us.
Like they were ever going
anyway.
anyway.
It's like, no, she didn't even say you can't do that. She said, my personal experience of this was that it's annoying. And instead of looking into the nuance of like, how did he hit on her? What was annoying about that?
Right.
The persistence, the fact that he pretended to be her friend or whatever. They just crumble so fucking fast.
Yeah, I again, bold for you to have that conversation on Twitter, because I just can't. I can't get myself to reply to people online and to feel like I'm about to have a genuine conversation, because it always ends up into this like tense back and forth where we're just getting more cemented in either of our sides. It's like not and I personally like have stopped caring as much about the idea of like men hating the anti-men thing, because I personally think like, and I've talked to my boyfriend about this, like if you're a guy that is a good person and you know that you're not creepy, that you're not a misogynist, like then when women have these conversations, you know that they're not talking about you because you're a good person. So I think there's just a lot of men who think that we're talking about them, and because they're identifying with it, we're like, yeah, that's you. But it's like you can choose to be a better person, choose to like understand women and what they're going through. You don't have to be weird.
Yeah, I don't always choose to engage with men on the internet. When I do, I only come at it from the framework of like approaching a feral cat, which is that like I can understand that you're extremely triggered by what I represent in your mind. What I represent in your mind is you. This is going to sound so psycho, but it's because I've thought about this so much. I think they see the way that I portray myself online and think that like I get to live the life of this hot, successful woman, and I don't even deserve it because I'm not even that hot and funny. What they don't realize is that like I have a fucking day job. And I'm not getting lots of attention online, but like what I kind of try to bring to the conversation is just like pure de-escalation tactics, like social work style.
Love it.
Yeah. I'll be like, hey, honest question. I'd really love a genuine answer to this. Is there a reason that you like wanted me to feel worse about my appearance today? Did you consider the fact that that's something that I struggle with like near constantly every day anyway? And that we actually maybe have that in common?
Yeah.
And that's actually something we could connect and commiserate on, as opposed to you somehow seeing like my appearance as a female as like somehow threatening or like making your experience worse. But like beauty standards have hurt both of us.
Have you ever responded to someone saying that?
Yeah, all the time.
And
then they usually are like, sorry, I got triggered. And I'm like, I know you did.
Yeah. And it's so annoying to see them go from 100 back down to 0 and being like, well, you decided to do that. Like you decided to feel that way because of your own bullshit. Oh my God. Okay.
I just hope it like embarrasses them and makes them a little sad. And
I wish it embarrassed them more. I wish we need to bring shame back. Like we need to bring shame and bullying back, I think is what needs to happen. Let's do one more comment just for the heck of it.
Okay. What's another comment? Sorry. No, it refreshed at the top.
This is my new favorite segment.
Oh, here's one. Here's one I get all the time.
Ooh.
An oldie but a goodie. Still waiting for the first funny female comedian.
Oh, God. I know that there's so many of those comments in all of our comment sections. It's still waiting for the joke, still waiting for the punchline.
Yeah, and
Well,
I
keep
bet,
on waiting because you're
and
not
I
going to
bet-
fucking get it, Gary.
I bet you're still waiting to get laid. So shut up.
Yeah, it's literally,
Shut
oh my
up.
God. Okay, no.
Wait, they're following so many female comedians.
They are?
I think they actually love women in comedy. They're
Oh my
following like a lot of
God.
my friends. They're also following a lot of like male comics, but like they very clearly like, I mean, assuming they're only following people they think are funny, they've found at least 12.
Wow. But you know what? I don't know if this is something that you've experienced, but I have found the guys that do that, like specifically on TikTok, because you can stitch videos and whatnot. They will hate follow people. Like there was a guy that hate followed me on TikTok for a while that would comment on every video I posted and say, still waiting for funny, whatever. And then I went to his profile and every single video on his profile was a stitch or like a ripoff of Taylor Tomlinson, Nikki Glaser, Whitney, like very successful female comedians. And at the top, he would write like, female comedians aren't funny, but his whole page was literally their videos.
Can we get deep into this? Okay.
Sure.
I do believe that in the same way that this is going to be a broad generalization, don't fucking get triggered. Every man, by and large, in the world secretly wants to be a successful comedian. I think they secretly think that that is like the most socially powerful X Factor job that could exist.
Yeah.
And so I think that they find it incredibly moving and meaningful when men who look like them or feel similar to them get to have that job.
Yeah.
And I think they also find it incredibly triggering when women who are very clearly greener than those men look like perhaps they are as successful as those men. What I mean to say is that a man who, let's say Sam Morril is like the fucking his god because he also has rhoticism or whatever, okay? I can't.
I honestly don't even know what that is.
Stray shots to Sam Morril for no fucking reason.
What is rhoticism?
It's when you can't pronounce your R's. You know how he kind of can't pronounce his R's a little bit? Okay.
No.
This is so mean for no reason.
Well, that
Okay,
that was such a deep cut. I'm going to have to look it up later.
Okay, but so he is obsessed with Sam Morril, and he sees Sam Morril posting clips on the internet with high quality headshots and doing shows all the time. Sam Morril is a successful full-time comedian who makes great money. Me, I am not. I am a part-time comedian who does a very good job at branding herself. Okay? I have 6 to 7 years worth of skills, and I'm pretty talented for how long I've been doing it. In no way does my career look very much like his at all. My career looks like maybe about half of what his does because I've been doing it half as long. And what that man will see in my branding is he will see she and him are the same. They get the same opportunities. You can tell they have the same high quality cameras that they record their sets
you can't
with.
tell on
they
the
have
internet.
the same high quality headshots. She also has occasional club dates. They don't understand that I'm getting paid way less and that my club dates are like once a year. And his are literally every weekend. So what he thinks is happening is this grave injustice where it has been so phenomenally easy to me with only 6 years of skill to become just as talented as Sam Morril did with 12 years. And that's not even close to what's happening at all.
Right.
But he feels the need to somehow correct that injustice on a tiny level to do what he can by commenting that I am not funny, when in actuality, to a person who's more familiar with comedy, what they would look at is say, oh yeah, she's actually quite funny for what she has.
Right, exactly. And that's like that's the qualifier that they don't understand, because people will look at your profile and they'll look at your followers, they'll look at yeah, the camera quality is a big one. Even just posting a photo of you with all your dates on it next to you, people are like, "Oh my God, like you must be like big. You must get stopped on the street." And it's like, no, I'm literally headlining a brewery and I'm doing 20 minutes. Like, it's not at all.
And if I was selling out theaters with my current level of chops, it would be reasonable to say, she's overhyped, you know?
Yeah.
She's not funny enough to warrant this. But
Right.
that's the big misunderstanding. And I remember specifically because before I was good at branding myself, when I was first going viral, I got a lot of fucking comments about how I should have a Netflix special. I got a lot of messages about how I'm going to blow up. I should get this. I should get that.
I hate getting those comments.
And then when I started getting better at branding myself, the main fucking comment that I will, every time I respond to a DM, they'll be like, I can't believe you responded. It's like, I do think it's silly that you have this idea that I am like too famous to respond to DMs. Mm-hmm. like nothing in, okay. But, and it's not because of the number of followers I have. It's literally because I have good headshots.
Yeah, it's weird to be in a position to say that, like, I don't like getting those types of comments because it makes me feel like, well, no, like, I have a lot of work to do and I recognize that. Like, thank you for the compliment, but like, it doesn't mean anything if a bunch of people are just throwing around like, oh, you should get a Netflix special, you should do that. And it's like, but that takes a long time. And what if I don't want to do that?
And in their mind, they're correcting the injustice that you have nothing but deserve quite a bit.
Right.
And that's not true either.
Yeah, and it's like, actually, I'm pretty happy with the rate I'm going at. I feel pretty accomplished.
Every time someone engages online, they're correcting the perceived ratio between what value they think you have and what success they think you're getting. Mm-hmm. But they don't know either of those two things for facts. So they're just making wildly uneducated stabs in the dark at trying to like even out.
Yeah. Gosh, man, we're like going through it. We are really going through it. I want to start winding down and trying to land this shaky
sleepy time
to one engine plane that we're doing. But I really want to ask you before we kind of wrap up, like, do you feel as though your experience on social media specifically has affected your body image or what you think of yourself at all?
Kind of.
Like yes and no?
Yes, and this is going to be weird. It's kind of affected it in a good way.
That's not weird. That's not weird at all. That's amazing.
Because I think that just like for so long, I have like lived in where all of the people in my immediate vicinity, if there's like no interest in me, then it's just like, oh yeah, I'm like invisible. Mm-hmm. And I think that the weird thing is like getting online, you realize like, oh, actually the universe is so fucking large.
Yeah.
And I might be kind of more of I often refer to myself as like a niche product, but like there are plenty of fucking freaks who are so into that.
Yeah.
And unfortunately that is like weirdly an affirming experience for me.
Yeah, I think that's a valid answer. You know, like I don't think everyone's answer has to be like, yeah, it makes me feel terrible and social media is evil. I don't think that that's the norm, especially because, you know, like if you get caught in like if your videos get caught in an algorithm where it's pushing it to people who are positive or who at the least aren't commenting mean things about your body, it's easy to feel better versus like if your videos get caught in the algorithm of like gets pushed out to incels or to people who are engaging but in the wrong way. But the algorithm doesn't know the difference. So I think that's really valid. Do you feel like doing stand-up at all has changed your body image?
Yeah, stand-up I think broadly has had a negative impact because
interesting.
Unfortunately, as much as we think that like, oh, this is one sector of entertainment where what you look like is not the product, it still is.
Yeah, it really is.
Like, look at the landscape of the most popular comedians by and large, none of them are ugly, and if they are, it's men. And like there are very few exceptions of women who exist like farther outside of the beauty standard. Like the worst looking women comedians you can think of are just like regular looking bitches.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Like we won't let like a genuinely ugly woman have any place in entertainment whatsoever. And thinking constantly about like how an audience is going to perceive me visually is shitty.
Yeah, well, and
especially when you're surrounded by men all the time.
Yeah, and you're in a business where you may not realize it, but not only are you being looked at, obviously, in real time, like live in person, but you're getting photos taken of you all the time. Sometimes
every night from, I shit you not, 2 feet below you, by and large.
Yep,
because
they crouch down because they don't want to get in the way. They take a photo at a 45-degree angle up, and it's just your entire chin.
And they also want to get the action shot of you looking particularly goofy, so you're like mid-act out of something disgusting.
Yep.
Because that's what's funny.
Yeah. Yeah, it's wild that you like don't know that when you get into it, and then when you start getting into it, you're like, oh wow, there's a lot of tagged photos of me that exist now, whether I like it or not. And I know a lot of female comedians I've had this conversation with where we've actually gone to shows where we know maybe the producer or whoever like hires a photographer, or maybe they just do photography or they're trying to do photography, and we specifically are like, hey, love that you're doing this. Don't post anything without telling me. Run it by me, because we've had such negative experiences. Yeah, there's...
I didn't know you could do that.
Well, I didn't know that either until I had a conversation with a female comic about it. And like, she was like, yeah, when I go to do this particular show, I know that the guy takes really bad photos. So I have banned him from ever... number one, taking photos of me, or if he does, like I have to approve them before he does anything with them. And I love that power.
I will often ask photographers, can you get photos of me between jokes when I'm just like smiling or laughing?
Yeah.
Because I have like 3 act outs in my set that I have hundreds of photos of.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Because every comic is like, wow, that's a really intense act out. Like, that's the shot.
Is it the Diva Cup?
Yes.
When you're like, have your hand on the mic? That's funny.
Yeah, and I'm making a very strange voice. And then the thing that they don't get is like, in what possible scenario, out of context, would this photo ever be used? Why would I ever need a photo of an extremely specific joke that makes no sense out of context?
Yeah.
I won't post this anywhere. I look like a goblin.
Yeah.
And I would prefer if you didn't post
There's
it anywhere.
an idea that like, even the idea that like comedic headshots versus normal headshots is like a thing. It's like, as a comedian, you have to be like, you have to have like the mic cord wrapped around your neck, or you have to have like, you're screaming, or you have to like flip your hair and look like, oh, I'm so fun to be around. It's like, can I just smile?
It's also just like very deeply vulnerable to try to like get a good photo of oneself.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and when you're on stage and you're thinking about your timing, your jokes, your tone of voice, the audience. You're not thinking about like, oh, I gotta like look. I hit my angle.
My last headshots, I went to a woman and I specifically sought out a woman who does boudoir shoots.
Oh, cool.
Is a big part of her thing, of like lots of different body types, because I wanted to be able to speak to her like extremely openly about, this is exactly how I feel about different parts of my body, and I know that posing will affect that a lot. Yeah. And I would like you to let me know, like, because a man can't tell you like, suck in, you know, because that would be so uncomfortable.
Right. And she's probably like, oh, let's like move your shirt. Let's like, you know, bend your leg here so we could. Yeah, exactly. That's great.
He can't like literally during my headshots, these are non-sexual photos. Okay.
Yeah.
She's like adjusting my tank top over my tits so that it's like wrinkled in the right way. Yeah. And it's like, a man just like physically could not.
Yeah.
Do that the same. And it would be so vulnerable to like, I
know.
I would be so self-conscious.
I'm so lucky to be dating a photographer. Okay.
Truly you are.
Who also takes photos of me when I'm on the toilet, but you know, it's you win some, you lose some. So, at the end of this podcast, I always like to end with an affirmation. And so we have this affirmation board that I had to go and buy like 3 of those like really toxic magazines you get at like King Soopers, just to be able to cut out all the letters and all the like little sayings on it. So it says, my body, my affirmations. Thank you, Anissa. So I want you to write your favorite affirmation, share it with us, and then sign it. And then in 10 years, I'll probably cut it out and sell your signature on eBay or something.
I don't know if this counts as an affirmation, but this is what popped into my head when you said it.
Okay, cool.
And I stole it. It's a quote from someone else.
I like that. Those are the best.
So I'm going to attribute it and then sign it.
Okay, love it. A quote within a quote. Affirmations have always been like difficult for me because I sometimes don't believe them. And I saw that there's like an affirmation app now that's called I Am that I want to download again because I had it for a while. But it sends you affirmations at like certain times of the day. It can be like 3 times a day, or it's like you can like time it. So it'll send you one, which is really fun. But share with us what you wrote down.
My affirmation is everything is easy and fun. Which is a quote from Annie Letterman.
Oh, cool. I like her a lot.
I think it's worthwhile thinking when I'm like, I'm so ugly, I literally can't go outside. Instead of being like, no, I'm actually beautiful, I look fine. Mm-hmm. And now I kind of think, is it really that deep, Hannah? Is it really illegal to go outside?
Yeah.
Or can you maybe just go be ugly in the sunlight today? Like maybe the solution is just like you go be ugly outside and you live your normal life and you feel different tomorrow.
I love that. That's so true. Everything is easy and fun.
Yeah.
That's perfect. Okay, cool. Well, tell everyone where they can find you. We can put this on the ground so you have to hold it.
You can find me at Hannah Jones Cool online. I have a monthly show in Denver that I do new material every time, and I am touring. If you want to see me tour, do not rely on my social media. I have a text list on there, so you can get on that text list, and then instead of me having to bug you, you'll just get one text with a ticket link when I'm in your city.
Amazing. And the show that you do is actually in this very studio.
It's
very fun.
Studio.
Dude IDK is just...
It's literally tomorrow night.
Monopolizing the entire comedy market in Denver. We love it. Okay, well, thank you guys so much for joining us for another episode of My Body, My Jokes. Remember, live your life and don't take any wooden nickels. Bye.
What's the wooden nickels?
I don't know. Thank you so much for listening to My Body, My Jokes. Please be advised that the information provided in this podcast is for general discussion purposes only and should not be considered medical advice. Always, always, always seek the advice of a qualified healthcare professional with any concerns you might have regarding the topics discussed in today's episode. Also, if you or someone you know is struggling with an eating disorder, please call the National Eating Disorders Association helpline at 1-800-931-2237. Bye.